Alabama folk singer is dead after she was attacked by a pair of coyotes.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey...
He hit your face off!
We actually have a trainer in the water with one of our whales.
If I show weakness, if I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
Baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo back in 1980.
Breathe it in, Chapman. Oh, very good. Love it. Yes, I enjoy this. Little update for those of you listening. You'd be familiar with the story of my downstairs neighbor who enjoys in partaking in the smoke of the marijuana plant, which is something that we've been dealing with for a while. And I don't hate the stink of weed that much. Like, it can get a little overpowering. But it's not the worst thing in the world. Tell you what's worse? Cigarette smoke. And that is what he's graduated to. I don't know if he's going backwards or what, but yeah, he's onto cigarettes now. And it fucking reeks. It absolutely stinks. At this rate, in 3 weeks, he'll be smoking like full-on Cuban cigars. And then after that, I think he'll be refining raw petroleum in his backyard. That's the scent progression I think we're working with here. Oh God, if you hear that, that's me coughing my lung up. Hello everybody, welcome back to Man. It is the only true crime podcast on the entire fucking internet where all the killers are real animals. Whether it's biting... Sorry, I had to swallow in the middle of the intro there. Whether it's biting, scratchings, maulings, or clawings, we are going to talk about it. As always, I'm your host, James, a.k.a. the most smelly with the most belly, a.k.a. Jimothy, a.k.a. Jimbalaya, a.k.a. your lover boy. And welcome to a new episode. It's been about a week... 2 weeks since I recorded, about a week since we got the last episode. Thank you for all the kind messages while I was off getting married. It was a lovely day, and we had a great ass time. Thank you so much for everyone who said some very kind things to me in messages on Instagram, etc., etc. But I am back just in time. Some could say, in a way, just in time, but in a more accurate way, way too late for this discussion. As you've probably told from the title, we're going to be talking about an internet trend, an internet debate that went viral. Dare I say it, it went viral over the last week or so. The question being, who would win in a fight? One fully grown silverback gorilla, or 100 random men? That's the debate the internet's been having for a while. People are getting quite into it, and I've had a lot of people messaging me, asking me what my stance is, and today we are going to get to the final answer of what the Man-Eater's stance is. Before we do that, just want to give a quick shout out to a listener, Tristan, who sent me a beautiful photo of him wearing his Man-Eater's t-shirt, which I'm also wearing myself right now. Not his t-shirt, I'm wearing my own t-shirt. We don't share shirts. There's more than one in existence. If you want a shirt, you can buy it on the website. He took a couple happy snaps of him wearing his beautiful, comfortable Man-Eater's t-shirt at Taronga Zoo, where he was visiting. And so just wanted to give him a shout out. Thank you for that. Thank you for the promotion. I haven't noticed anyone else listening apart from the regulars. But yeah, t-shirt advertising, not the best. But I will say it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. These shirts, oh boy, they're comfortable. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm wearing mine right now. I wore this shirt on a flight to London. That's a long flight from Sydney. And I wore it because it is, but without a doubt, the most comfortable shirt I own. So if you just want a comfortable shirt, regardless of if it has my logo on it or not, you can buy that at the website. And thank you to Tristan for wearing his beautiful shirt at the beautiful Taronga Zoo. I love Taronga Zoo. I'd love to go back. If you know anyone who works at Taronga Zoo that would like to give me free tickets and give me a tour, and maybe I could meet some monkeys or something, let me know, because I'd be very much up for that. One of the favorite animals at Taronga Zoo, of course, is a gorilla, which is the subject of today's episode. So without further ado, ado? How do you say that word? Ado? Ado? That's anti-Semitic. Without further ado, let's get into the question, the debate at hand. Who would win in a fight? One gorilla or 100 boys? So, the 100 men versus 1 gorilla debate is one of those bizarre hypotheticals that has somehow caught fire and turned into a full-blown internet meme. The premise is very simple. If 100 unarmed adult men had to fight a fully grown silverback male gorilla, who would win? It sounds ridiculous, and it is, but that's exactly why the internet loves this. What started as a random question quickly turned into a viral trend, with people across TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter throwing out many battle strategies, joking about gym bros, and passionately arguing their side as if it was a matter of life or death. Now, the whole thing is so well online because it hits that sweet spot between stupid and compelling. Like those old how many third graders could you beat up in a fight question, it invites people to flex their imagination and also their egos without any real stakes. It's funny, it's dramatic, and it totally is hypothetical, which makes it perfect meme fuel. Team Gorilla has some strong points, literally. Gorillas are absolute beasts. They're crazy strong, they're insanely fast, and they terrify when they're angry. Some estimates say a gorilla could be 4 to 10 times stronger than a human being. They've got massive arms, huge jaws, powerful fangs, and the kind of raw power that could knock a person out cold in one swipe. Fans of the gorilla side argue that even with 100 people, there's no way a bunch of unarmed dudes could organize fast enough to stand a chance. Most would freeze, panic, or get flattened right away. But then there's Team Human. Their argument is basically 100 people is a lot of people. And even if most of them don't know how to fight, the numbers alone might be enough to overwhelm the gorilla. People throw out strategies like sacrificing the first wave to tire it out, swarming from behind, or dogpiling until it can't move. Some posts take it super seriously, mapping out positions and timing it like it's a military operation. Others lean into the humor of the situation, jokes like, just get 10 rugby league players and 90 cheerleaders, or 5 CrossFit guys could finish it before lunch. Part of what makes this trend so funny is how seriously people are taking it. There are full threads breaking down gorilla biomechanics, human psychology under pressure, and even fake science explaining how the fight could go down. But underneath all of that is just a fun, ridiculous thought experiment. It lets people argue passionately about something completely pointless, and that's kind of the internet's favorite thing to do. At the end of the day, it's not about who would actually win. The 100 men versus 1 gorilla trend is just an excuse for memes, debates, and flexing your imagination. It's silly, it's chaotic, and it's totally made up, which is exactly what makes it such a perfect piece of internet culture. Now listen, I know why you're all listening here, I know why you've swarmed to listen to this episode. You want to know what my position is on this debate. I put the question out there on the Instagram. I asked, what would you vote for? Would you vote for the gorilla? Would you vote for the people? And a surprising number of people said that they would vote for the gorilla. They would put money on the gorilla to win. And I'm here to tell you today, the people have spoken. The internet demands answers from me. And today, right here on this episode, live but not live because it's a pre-recording, I'm going to make it official. Here it is, loud and clear. I am Team Gorilla, okay? And if you're not Team Gorilla, that tells me one thing. You've never actually looked into what a gorilla is. Because once you start to get an idea of what a gorilla actually is, this fight stops sounding like a numbers game and it starts sounding more like a massacre. So, let's start with the basics, all right? You're talking about a fully grown adult male silverback gorilla. Now, some of these hypotheticals have been even more specific in saying, imagine the biggest gorilla possible. Not like a King Kong size, but you know, genetically, in the real world, what is the largest a gorilla could be? Let's talk about that kind of gorilla in this fight, okay? Now, your male silverback gorilla weighs anywhere from between 300 and 500 pounds of pure muscle. For this hypothetical, we're going to the extreme. That's 500 pounds. We're going to go 500 pounds of pure gorilla muscle. But it's not just weight that we need to worry about here. It's density. Gorilla muscle fibers are thicker, denser, and more efficient than a human's. You got to remember something. Human beings, we evolved for walking, typing, and lying to our girlfriends and complaining on the internet. Okay, gorillas evolved for survival. Every single inch of them is built for power. Their arms alone are so strong that a silverback can bend solid steel bars, they can smash apart bamboo stalks that humans can't even dent, and they can deadlift an estimated 1,800 pounds. Yeah, did you hear that? I stopped for that to sink in. 1,800 pounds. That's a fucking motorcycle, okay? That's a baby rhinoceros. That's like 6 average human males all doing push-ups on top of each other, which is quite a sexy image if you ask me. And the gorilla sees that and just thinks, oh yeah, cool, I could live that. Okay, so that's the strength of a gorilla. But people say that the strength is not the issue here. Some people argue, right, gorillas are strong, but humans are smart. We'd strategize. Fucking no. We wouldn't, all right? Let's talk about some tactics that the humans might be able to employ and why they just wouldn't work. So we'll start with the obvious problem here. People on the human team are way too confident about what 100 unarmed people can accomplish, okay? 100, yes, it sounds like a big number, but in practice, you're not going to get 100 guys all punching at once like it's some kind of bar fight in a Marvel movie. The gorilla is not going to stand there in the middle of a wide open arena saying, yeah, all right, fellas, form a nice even circle, okay? This is chaos, and in chaos, gorillas thrive. How many people do you think can actually fight a gorilla at once? It's not a video game, okay? There's no turn-based combat here. Gorillas are compact, okay? They're fast too. They're surprisingly fast, and they're reactive. Here's another thing, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. Surface area, okay? At what most, like 8 men? 10 maybe can even reach the gorilla at once, okay? The rest are waiting in the background for their turn to get wrecked. This isn't, got to remember, this is not a coordinated army. It's 100 randos, okay? There's no armor, there's no weapons, there's no training, and look, let's be real. At least a few guys named Kyle showed up thinking it was an airsoft match, okay? It's not a Roman phalanx. It's 100 guys in jeans and sneakers trying to mob something that's basically a living battering ram, okay? And here's another thing people discount. Let's talk about psychology here, all right? Because this is in play. They're random people. Do you think 100 people are going to be able to stand their ground when a gorilla starts roaring and throwing bodies into walls? Be honest, do you think you could? I don't think I could, okay? Some of them are going to run, all right? And in this hypothetical, we are imagining they are in an empty room where they can't leave, but they are going to try to escape. They'll be climbing up the fucking walls. Some people are going to freeze. I could probably freeze. If I saw a gorilla in real life, I would just freeze up. Some of them are going to go down in 5 seconds, all right? You've got a crowd, not a team. And a crowd doesn't fight well under pressure, especially when 400-pound walls of muscle just turn Kyle into a backpack. Let's be real, okay? At least half of those 100 men are going to panic as soon as the gorilla makes a move. And when it charges, when it throws one guy into another guy like it's a ragdoll, that's it, okay? The illusion of teamwork evaporates. This isn't a unit, okay? It's a crowd. Crowds break. I think you're probably still not convinced because, I'll be honest, the human team has some compelling thoughts. Let's talk about durability. Durability, okay? Gorilla skin is significantly thicker than a human skin, and so are the layers of muscle beneath it. You're not punching through that. You're not breaking bones, okay? You're not choking it out. That's not going to happen. These aren't UFC fighters, okay? You're trying to hurt an animal that just doesn't have a pain tolerance. It doesn't feel pain. It doesn't have a concept of pain like we do. These are animals that are built to get into territorial fights with each other, both of them flinging their full body weight into each other's bodies like sledgehammers made of rage, okay? Your fists, your hands are completely useless. You throw a punch at that thing, your fists are going to turn into mush, all right? There is physically nothing you can do to get to a gorilla. Some people are saying, oh, like gouge its eyes out. I don't even think that you can get your thumb through the eyelids of the gorilla, okay? And it's not going to let you do it. I'll come back to that in a second. Other people say, let's try like choke holding the gorilla. You want to try to do a rear naked choke hold on a gorilla? Congratulations, because you just climbed on top of a blender. It's going to flip you over its head. It's going to slam you down into the ground like a sack of wet laundry, okay? You're not stopping the gorilla. You're not even going to slow it down, okay? Now, the big argument that Team Human likes to bring up here is they like to say, oh, the gorilla doesn't have the stamina. Humans are built for stamina. Gorillas aren't. This is kind of accurate. Human beings, surprisingly, are an incredibly high stamina creature. We can outlast pretty much anything. That's how humans survived when we were hunting things. We just wouldn't stop. You know, the deer would run away from us and it would be like laughing. It's like a turtle and the hare sort of deal. We're the turtles, or the tortoise, I think it was. We can outlast anything. But the gorilla, like, people think that the gorilla is just going to go to sleep and then we can just kill it. That's not how this works, all right? Let's just say that you did manage to tire the gorilla out. Let's say it's breathing hard. It's slumped onto the ground. You walking up to it, you're going to try to throw hands with the gorilla. It still has the strength to rip a car door off its hinges, okay? Even when it's tired. Even an exhausted gorilla is like a loaded weapon. It doesn't need to chase you anymore. It just needs to get you in range to swing at you or to grab your head and just pop it like a watermelon, okay? And even if it does get tired, what does that change? Like, a tired gorilla is still like a little spring, a coiled spring of death. It doesn't have to chase you down. It just has to wait. If you get too close, it's going to lurch forward and it's going to take a limb off. It's not going to sit there politely and let you punch it in the head until it's dead. That's not how this is going to work. Even when this gorilla is exhausted and lying there, it can kill you from the floor, all right? All it has to do is wait for someone to get close to it, and they're going to swipe it and knock it into a wall. This isn't a fight. I keep having to go, this is barely a fight. It's a nature documentary that ends in a fucking Shakespearean tragedy, all right? So, like, yes, 100 unarmed men versus one gorilla. I firmly believe the men lose hard every time, and I don't actually think it's close. You're not fighting like a bear with teamwork and rifles. You're poking a living tank with your bare fingers, and you're hoping you're going to get lucky. You won't get lucky, all right? I am, and I think I always will be until I hear a better argument, Team Gorilla. And if you're on the other side of the debate, I understand it, because there have been times this week where I've heard good arguments for Team Man. The stuff about the stamina is a really good one. But I just don't think that you're ever going to be able to tire a gorilla out enough for it to just be docile. And even if it did, I just don't know what you think you can do to kill it. People do say in the comments of these videos that people are overestimating what a gorilla is. I think people are underestimating what a gorilla is. You know, they're not invincible. I'm not saying that. You could take down gorillas, but you can't do it unarmed. Okay? I just don't think that. And again, the psychological damage of watching a dude get ripped apart in front of you and knowing that you have to face it next, I just don't see it, guys. I don't see how it's going to work. I'm going to recap, because there are some good arguments. I want to recap the big arguments people have and tell you why I just don't see it working, okay? So the big one is there's 100 people and that's way too much for a gorilla. Cool, okay, but only 6 to 8 of you actually get to reach it at once. The rest of you are just standing around waiting to get turned into a pulpy mess, all right? People say, well, dogpile it. Good plan. If the gorilla just stands there like a prop, but it won't do that, okay? It's going to be like a full-on WWE match before you even blink. The first wave is gone. The second wave is gone. And the third wave is thinking, how do we break out of this room, okay? Other people say humans are smarter. We'll strategize. Cool. Have fun strategizing with 99 strangers in the middle of the battle when a 400-pound muscle beast is charging at you like a truck, okay? And also, in this day and age, good luck getting 100 people to cooperate on fucking anything, okay? Do you guys remember we had a pandemic and we were like, hey, go inside, wear a mask, and fucking half the people were like, no, fuck you, don't take away my Halloween costumes or whatever it was, you know? You could not agree on anything. You're not also going to be able to get people to volunteer to, like, be the first wave going at the gorilla. Would you do it? No. People say we'll tire it out. How? At what cost? You're not going to be the one to volunteer to be the gorilla bait, okay? And no one else is going to do it either. It only needs one hit to ruin your week. Even when it's tired, okay, it has meat grinders for arms. It's not going to do anything. Eventually we'll overwhelm it, people say. Okay, sure, if anyone's alive still and willing. But after watching 30 dudes get launched like dodgeballs, I really think people are going to be rethinking their life choices, okay? It's not a war. It's a wake. And look, okay, at the end of the day, this isn't about bravery or the indomitable human spirit. It's about biology. The gorilla is built for combat, okay? It has dense muscles, it has thick skin, it has bone-crushing strength. I haven't even fucking talked about the goddamn fact that these things have fucking fangs. Have you seen a gorilla's fangs? Dude, it's going to bite your face off. Think about this, okay? Gorillas are huge, okay? Gorillas, I would say, are like between 2 and 3 times larger than a chimpanzee. Maybe even 4 times bigger than a chimpanzee. Remember that chimpanzee, Travis. Remember Travis tore off a woman's face and hands like it was wet toilet paper. Like there was no resistance. It just popped them off, okay? Imagine what a gorilla can do. That thing is huge. It's way stronger than a chimpanzee, okay? And even though in nature they're not particularly, well, you know, they're kind of docile. They're not nearly as aggressive as a chimpanzee. They're still fucking angry. And like in this hypothetical, the gorilla is bloodlusted. I'm going to say that. If the people get to be bloodlusted in the fact that they're killing a gorilla, the gorilla equally gets to be bloodlusted too. There's nothing you can do, all right? It's built to fight other members of its species. And most people who get teleported into this room haven't been in a fight since the 2nd grade, okay? I don't really think people know what they're talking about. Even when it's tired, I keep coming back to this, even if it does get through 60, 70 people and it's exhausted and it's laying there and it's nearly passed out, what then? What then? You're going to walk up and kick it because it's going to grab you in the leg and rip it off. Then it's not going to sit there. An animal is not designed to just sit there and let you kill it, all right? It's not happening that way. You're built for texting and ordering pad thai, okay? These things are built. These things are built to fight and defend from copies of themselves. They're huge. You're not going to win this fight, okay? I'm sorry. You're just going to become part of the cautionary tale. Team Gorilla forever. But if you disagree respectfully, that's fine. There are good arguments to be made for the humans. I just personally think I'll be, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. You know what I personally think? Being on Team Gorilla is more fun. Okay? It's more fun to be on Team Gorilla. Yeah. Think about that while we take our break. And then we do the scratch of the day. Go and do a wee. I got a little testy there. I'm sorry. I just feel very passionately about Team Gorilla. Yeah, I was speaking to my friend Tim about this. There does seem to be a little bit of copium. I don't know. The human side does have its merits, but I do think that I have combated I've gone back on every single argument I could think of. Okay, so anyway, if you're Team Human or Team Gorilla, let me know respectfully, please. Don't yell at me. Some people are getting really angry at Team Gorilla on some of the TikTok comments I've been reading. You know, they were saying anyone who's in Team Gorilla is a fucking idiot. And I'm like, hey, I am a fucking idiot, but you didn't know that before you said it. Let's get into the next part of our episode, which is, of course, the scratch of the day. Scratch of the day, of course, the segment of the show where we talk about animal attacks in the news and we learn all about them. Our first one is a user submission from Samuel Wood over on Instagram. Thank you for this story, Sam. Very interesting. This is quite a recent story, so we will have to try and maybe follow up with it later because there's not a lot of info out there yet. But the headline reads, 5 people survived 36 hours in a swamp surrounded by alligators after a plane crash. This was only posted 19 hours ago on the BBC. So I'm going to read this story to you. 5 people have been rescued after spending 36 hours atop a plane in an alligator-infested swamp in the Amazon after it was forced to make an emergency landing, local authorities said. The small plane was found by local fishermen in Bolivia's Amazon region on Friday after being missing for 48 hours. The survivors, 3 women, a child, and the 29-year-old pilot, were rescued in excellent condition, Wilson Avila, director of the Beni Department Emergency Operations Center, said. A search and rescue mission was launched on Thursday after the plane disappeared from the radar of the Beni Department in central Bolivia. The pilot told local media that an engine failure had prompted an emergency landing near the Intandomas River during a flight from Bauers in the north of Bolivia to the city of Trinidad. Andreas Velarde said that the plane had suddenly started to lose altitude and he had been forced to land the craft in a swamp near a lagoon. The 5 that had been on board stood on top of the plane and were, quote, surrounded by alligators that came within 3 meters of us. Velarde added that he believed petrol leaking from the plane had kept the predators at bay. They also saw an anaconda in the water, he said. While awaiting rescue, they ate local cassava flour one of the passengers had brought. Quote, "We couldn't drink water and we couldn't go anywhere else because of the alligators," Velarde said. Central and South America are home to caimans, a relative of alligators. After fishermen discovered the craft, a helicopter was sent to transport the survivors to hospital. Ruben Torres, director of the Beni Region Health Department, said there had been, quote, "a lot of speculation about the case and many theories after the plane went missing. I am happy because in the end, all the institutions joined together to be able to find the missing people and save those lives," he told Reuters. What a terrifying story. What an absolutely great story to say at a party, though. Wow. Again, only posted 19 hours ago. If there is a follow-up, we will do that. I can see a photo. Like, the plane is, like, upside down. So the way it reads is like the plane is sort of floating on the water and they were on top of the water. What I'm actually looking at is a sort of looking like a small plane, like a light engine plane, like a Cessna sort of thing, upside down in the water, submerged with only the tires poking out. So they are standing on top of it, but their ankles are like submerged in water. So they were standing there for like, nearly 2 days in ankle-high water with crocodiles and anacondas around. And yeah, the theory that the petrol leaking from the plane might have kept them at bay, that's a good theory because, like, looking at the photo, they are quite susceptible to attack. There is nothing really stopping an alligator or a caiman or an anaconda from coming up and pinching someone. It's actually a video, not a photo. Let's see if I can watch it. Okay, okay. It's a helicopter lowering down a rescue worker to sort of pick them up. Yeah, wow. There you go. That's not much great footage there. It's just a helicopter landing. But thankfully they're all okay, which is great. Next story. This is a follow-up to a story that we did a couple weeks ago. If you'll remember, there was a girl from Alabama who was attacked by a shark, and they were trying to set up an Amber Alert system for shark attacks. Basically, if a shark had a near miss or a contact with a person, it would send a text message out to anyone in the area to say that a shark has been spotted at the beach. And it wasn't just like if the shark was spotted at the beach, it had to have like made some kind of contact with the animal or with the human. So it looks like that legislation may have gone through because the headline reads, Alabama Senate passes first in nation shark attack alerts legislation. Here's the story, written by John Sharp. This is from al.com, alabama.com. Okay. Alabama is making waves as it moves to become the first state in the US with an Amber Alert style system for shark attacks after the state Senate unanimously passed legislation on Thursday. The bill, HB 437, dubbed Lulu's Law, now heads to Governor Kay Ivey, who says she's ready to make it official and sign it into law. Lulu's Law has received final passage by the Alabama legislature and now heads to my desk. I should have said it in an Alabama accent, shouldn't I? It's going to be very offensive. I might not do it. Ivey said in a post on X, shortly after the Senate approved Lulu's Law by unanimous vote, I'm ready to sign it into law and keep Alabama's beaches even safer. I don't know if that's really an Alabama accent, but I like it. It's like the big chicken from Looney Tunes. I say. You're pissing like fried chicken, boy. You know that one? Anyway. Despite bipartisan support, Democratic lawmakers pushed to broaden the alert system. Senator Vivian Figures, D-Mobile, I don't know what that means, proposed an amendment that would trigger alerts for confirmed spottings of sharks, not just attacks. Figures, who pushed to have the bill amended, said she wanted to add extra protection to avoid any similar attacks like the one that occurred to Lulu Gribben last June off Rosemary Beach in Florida. That's right, I remember the story. They wanted to call it a Gribben alert, and I just thought it didn't sound very good. But a Lulu alert is much better. Lulu's Law, very good. Gribben is the Mountain Brook teen who was bitten by a shark and lost her right leg and left hand, and who has served as the inspiration behind the nation's first shark alert system. The attack occurred about 100 miles east of the Alabama state line, and about 2 hours after another shark attack happened a few miles away. Quote, I think if we can prevent a shark from biting the first person so nothing happens to so nothing happens to what happened to Gribben, then we've done everything we can, Figures said while urging for consideration of her amendment. Gribben, at the State House last month, spoke in favor of the legislation before the Alabama House unanimously approved it. Senator Dan Roberts, Mountain Brook, a Republican, Mountain Brook, right, said that previous legislation had considered a broader approach that would have allowed for an Amber Alert if a shark was spotted within the vicinity of a beach. He said that issuing Amber Alerts for simply spotting sharks was a step too far. My suggestion is that we implement this and see how it goes, and if we need to refine it in the future, Roberts said. Figures wanted to defend her amendment and have it voted on, but was not allowed to speak by Senator Sam Given R. Huntsville, who was filling in as the Senate President pro tem at the time. Given said that Figures' amendment was, quote, non-debatable. Figures, frustrated with not being allowed to continue, responded, well, that goes to say Republicans don't want to protect our beaches in this great state of Alabama by at least allowing an Amber Alert for the sighting of sharks. If you come to Alabama beaches, we'll let everybody know that there are sharks in the water once they've bitten someone or lost a limb or more. She later told Al.com that her amendment would have required the alert to go off whenever someone like a lifeguard or marine police, an official authority, spotted a shark, not just someone from the public who may have misidentified one. The previous legislation introduced this spring in the form of HB 198 would have set off the alert whenever there was a report of a shark spotted close to the shoreline or if one was believed to be posing an imminent danger to anyone. The concern with the original bill from officials was that sharks could be misidentified or their proximity to a shoreline miscalculated, triggering unnecessary alerts. The approved legislation only allows for the Amber Alert once there is an unprovoked shark attack of someone within close proximity to a shoreline or coastline. It remains unclear whether the Amber Alert will be issued if there is a shark attack in Florida. If the alert is concentrated on attacks off the Alabama coast, it is unlikely to ever go off. According to the International Shark Attack File administered by the Florida Museum of Natural History, there have only been around 10 confirmed shark attacks in Alabama waters along the state's 53 coast miles over the past 187 years. Florida, with over 1,350 miles of coastline, has a highest rating of 942. Senator Bob Singleton, Democrat from Greensboro, said he also wanted the legislation changed to allow for the alerts if there was a confirmed shark spotting. He also said he was concerned that even with the new warning, people would still get into the water. Singleton cited that visitors will often ignore beach warning flags and still enter the water even if there are double red flags flying, which instructs beachgoers that the waters are closed. I'm for this and for whatever else will help save someone's life, Singleton said, calling the Amber Alert another tool in the toolbox. He also added, I wish people would start thinking for themselves. Even an Amber Alert won't help people who just don't want to adhere to the warnings at the beach. The legislation establishes the System for Mobile and Baldwin Counties. IPAWS, which stands for the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, is an integrated gateway through which an authorized public safety entity, a local emergency management agency, may alert the public to emergencies such as a wildfire or an Amber Alert for a missing child. The alerts can be geofenced, which means that alerts will be confined to a restricted geographic area such as beaches. The legislation also says the development and implementation of the alert system would be through a committee of experts and agencies. They include, among others, the Alabama Emergency Management Agency, the EMA in Mobile and Baldwin counties, and the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. The Alabama system, once implemented, could also serve as a model for other coastal states like Florida. Few areas of the country have any kind of system for alerting the public about sharks. Hawaii state officials maintain a real-time shark attack incident map. In Cape Cod in Massachusetts, there are beach warning flags that warn of shark sightings. There you go. What a in-depth story. Thank you very much, Al.com. Interesting debate there. I think that, it is quite a bipartisan thing. Everyone's on board for the system. The question is just, should it include alerts for just when a shark is spotted, or does it need to be too close to people? And I'm not even going to weigh into the debate. I think that's really up to the legislators in Alabama. I think that to be honest, if it's just going to be for the Alabama area, you might as well just have it for everything. Because like it said, shark attacks are super rare there. There's not that much coastline in Alabama anyway. So you might as well. If it was Florida or Hawaii, I would say maybe wait until it's like posing an actual threat. Otherwise, you would just be getting alerts 24/7. Okay, let's move on to another story. Still in the United States, I believe, in Sierra County. I'm not sure what state that's in. I think it's in California. There's been gray wolf attacks occurring in Sierra County. So we're going to read this story now. MSN is where I'm reading this. Sierra County Sheriff calls on Department of Wildlife after continued gray wolf attacks. The Sierra County Sheriff's Office is urging the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to take action following a significant increase in gray wolf attacks in Sierra Valley. Over the past 28 days, the region has experienced numerous livestock casualties, leaving ranchers and residents anxious. Sheriff Mike Fisher said, "I can tell you that we've had wolves in the Sierra Valley for many years now, and we have not seen anything like we're going through currently. The incidents began earlier this month with 6 calves attacked and wounded. 2 additional calves suffered severe injuries and were euthanized. Despite efforts to haze the wolves, they returned and attacked more livestock. DS ranchers reported 3 more calf attacks resulting in death or euthanasia. A calf was killed while CDFW game wardens were patrolling, highlighting the inefficiency of current hazing policies. Beyond DS Ranch, other ranchers reported additional livestock losses totaling at least 18 confirmed wolf attacks in the past month. On April 26th, following a local event, a 911 call reported a suspected wolf attack on a deer near the Sierra Brooks Lodge. Deputies responded, but the wolf had fled. The injured deer escaped onto a nearby brush. The sheriff's office is waiting to confirm the tracks found at the scene." I'm just going to pause for a second there. The wolf... Isn't a wolf allowed to attack a deer? Isn't that what they're supposed to do? Why would you call 911 if you see a wolf attack a deer? Unless the deer's your property. But even then, I don't know. Anyway, that's just me. On Monday morning, Sheriff Fisher received a report of an animal attack on a resident's porch. This is more scary. Bloody wolf tracks were found, and it was determined that 2 wolves were involved. An elk, chased by the wolves, was killed near the residence. Again, that's allowed. That's what they're supposed to be doing, aren't they? Am I completely wrong here? Peter Tira, a CDFW spokesman, said staff are investigating and working with the community and the sheriff. It's important to understand that the wolves hunt much differently than mountain lions, coyotes, or bears, a CDFW statement said. Although the elk and the deer ended up next to the residences, the wolf encounter and pursuit likely began in the national forest. Residents cannot shoot wolves due to their protected status under federal and state Endangered Species Acts. Sheriff Fisher believes wolves posing a public safety risk should be removed and euthanized, while others need to be hazed to stay out of the community. Weird story. It just sounds to me like there's wolves that live in the area, which, like, that's what they do, unless they're an introduced species there, but I don't think they are. Grey wolves are natural in California, I believe. They're just doing what they're supposed to be doing. Leave the wolves alone. You know, scare them off if you need to. If they get too close to someone's property. But, yeah, anyway. All right. Let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. If you live in California or an area, maybe in Canada with wolves, let me know if I'm completely wrong in thinking that that's a strange story because the wolves are just killing deer, which is what they're supposed to do. What else are they supposed to attack? It's better that they attack the deer and the elk than a person's kid. Okay, final story. Kind of a little bit of a funny one. A tourist has been bitten by a crocodile while taking a selfie at a zoo. The funny reason is because he thought the animal was a fake. Police say that a 29-year-old man climbed into an enclosure at a Philippine zoo and was promptly bitten by a female crocodile. A man visiting a zoo was attacked by a crocodile after he climbed into the animal's enclosure to pose for photos. The man, identified by the Manila Bulletin as a 29-year-old, climbed over a chain-link fence with a cell phone in hand at the Cabang Island Mangrove and Wetlands Park in the Philippines' southern Zamboanga province on Monday the 28th of April. A video obtained by Viral Press, onlookers can be heard screaming at the man and the crocodile after it bit him on the arm and held on tight. Though the man could be seen sitting still as he awaited help, the crocodile, a female named Lele, dragged him through the shallow water and rolled over, twisting his arm even further as he screamed in pain. That's called a death roll, folks. Police officers told local media that the man had climbed into the enclosure because he thought the crocodile was a fake. Quote, the tourist was walking around the area. I'm just doing an American accent. I know they're from the Philippines, but it's racist if I do that. The tourist was walking around the area and he saw the crocodile, which he thought was just a plastic figure. Police Staff Sergeant Joel Sajola of the Saye Municipal Police told multiple outlets. He climbed the fence and entered the enclosure, and the crocodile attacked him. The bulletin reports that the man was mentally impaired. Oh. Aw. It's not as funny anymore, is it? Shit. Okay, never mind. Not funny. More sad. Oh, okay. Video footage showed Lele rolling the man multiple times in what scientists call a death roll, a tactic used by many types of crocodilian species to kill prey and tear it apart for consumption. According to Viral Press, per the Daily Mail, the zookeeper in charge of Lele had attempted to stop the man from climbing the fence beforehand and eventually entered the enclosure himself to rescue the 29-year-old, allegedly hitting the crocodile over the head with a piece of concrete, Jesus, to force open her mouth. Paramedics eventually called to the scene, the outlets reported. They found that the man's right arm and leg had been bitten, and he was taken to Dr. George T. Hoffa Memorial Hospital, where he received more than 50 stitches. This kind of behavior is very dangerous. No one should ever enter an animal's enclosure at the zoo, Sajola added to the local media. He put other people's lives at risk, and he's very lucky to have survived. An investigation to the incident is ongoing, police told the bulletin. It's way less funny when you find out that the person was mentally impaired. Damn it. I was hoping to end on a light one there for you folks, but never really pans out that way for old Jimbo, does it? Look, that's going to do it for our episode today. Thank you for joining us for the Scratch of the Day and for hearing my weird rants about gorillas killing people. I would like to throw a question to you, to the audience, because I do think the 100 men versus gorilla debate, at what point do you think it tips over into a definite win for the people or a definite win for the humans, right? I think the gorilla... I'll say that with 100, like it's not a sure thing. It's not a sure thing that the gorilla wins. I would probably say like 8 out of 10 times I think the gorilla wins. But at what point? At what point? 10 men, surely the gorilla wins, right? 100% of the time. 20 men, probably still 100% of the time. 100 men, you're getting to like 80%. 200 men, now I'm thinking it's closer to like maybe 40%. Maybe the gorilla can do it. I don't know. I could be completely off. I want to know what your cutoff would be. Or how would you make this a more interesting fight? Like maybe the gorilla has a spear that's sticky taped to its fist. Maybe the men are all blindfolded. I can't wait for the Mr. Beast video where he does this for real. And he just gets like some massive Man Mountain Gym bro to play the gorilla. And just beats the shit out of random dudes. I will do that. I'll put my hand up and go and fight for that. Mr. Beast, I know you're listening because we are quite similar in size of our platforms. We're both influencers. Mr. Beast, Jimmy Sir, please fly me to wherever you are and I will fight the man gorilla. And I will win because I'll kick him in the nuts. That's going to do it for our episode today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Thank you to the people, Samuel, who sent me the story. Thank you to Tristan for wearing a shirt. If you do want your own Man Eaters shirt, you can head to www.maneaterspod.com for your snazzy Man Eaters merch. There's not a lot of merch there, but what is there is quite good. Of course, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/maneaters. Head over there and show me some love if you think I deserve it. And if you don't think I deserve it, head over to someone else's Patreon and give them some money instead. You, of course, can email any questions to me, maneaterspod@gmail.com, and we do have an Instagram @maneaterspodcast or @JimothyChaps. That's my own one. Go follow us both. We do some fun stuff every now and again. Thank you for your time. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And until then, please stay safe, because as we've learned, it's a jungle out there.